Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jayadi if you guys are new here, and thank you so much for clicking on this video because it's definitely a really exciting one. Today I'm going to be making another book recommendations video, and I'm so happy about this because boy do I have some good recommendations for you guys. Basically this video is for my brown girlies who love their Bollywood movies, and I'm going to take very specific Bollywood movies that have specific tropes and genres in them, and I'm going to recommend you a book that's going to match that trope, the plot. Basically if you like one thing you're going to like the other. So let's get straight into it because it's going to be a juicy one. And even if you're not somebody who's watched Bollywood movies, maybe this will motivate you, because if you like your romance books then you're gonna love Bollywood movies. And trust me, they're not just for South Asian people, they're literally for everyone. But yes, even if you don't watch them, this is still a good video for you to get some recommendations, so stay tuned. Starting off strong with an iconic love story from the early 2000s, Jab We Met by Imtiaz Ali. It stars Shahid Kapoor and Kareena Kapoor Khan, and it's basically like this beautiful coming of age story. The two characters are kind of in their own journey and they're very opposite from each other, very grumpy sunshine. However, it's so much deeper than that because they help each other discover their passions and discover what kind of people they want to be whilst they navigate like new relationships and love. They meet in the most unconventional way, but they build such a beautiful bond and friendship together before they even get together or anything like that. And that book genuinely reminds me of You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. The vibes in it is so similar, you guys. I know that in this book specifically, Poppy and Alex, our two main characters, have actually known each other since university, and they've kind of kept in touch every single year by going on trips together. However, their dynamic reminds me so much of Aditya and Geet from Jab We Met. So if you kind of like that dynamic, you're going to eat this book up, especially if you love Aditya's character. Aditya and Alex are literally interchangeable. One's just a brown boy, one's a white boy. But honestly, the vibes are so there, and I would really recommend you guys to get this book if you like Jab We Met. So the relationship dynamics in both the books is very close to each other because it's not necessarily a love story throughout the book. The love kind of grows as the story progresses, and I feel like Poppy and Geet can be very similar as well because they both have like that sunshine-esque personality to them, and they're both very loud and proud. Also, if you like the family dynamics in Jab We Met as well, and how much the family welcomes Aditya when they first meet him, it's very similar in that sense as well, because Poppy's family literally just takes Alex as their own, and it just builds such a beautiful bond and connection. I know that I'm referring to this book as People We Meet on Vacation because that's actually what the original title is. However, I think in UK and Australia they sell it as You and Me on Vacation. So in case you get confused and think they're two different books, just remember that they're not, and whichever copy that you can find you should definitely get. Although this can be categorized as a friends to lovers and Jab We Met is more of a enemies to lovers, I guess. They weren't really enemies ever, they actually grew to have a friendship very quickly, and I feel like Poppy's the one who approaches Alex in the friendship here, and the same thing happens in Jab We Met where Geet kind of adopts Aditya as her friend. Also, the ironic part about it is that they're actually turning You and Me on Vacation into a movie as well, and Tom Blythe is going to be playing Alex. Enough said. The next recommendation I have for you guys is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I am comparing this book to Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam by Sanjay Leela Bhansali. It stars Salman Khan, Ajay Devgan and Aishwarya Rai, and that movie is honestly so iconic, especially if you were a kid in the early 2000s. The movie came out like in the 90s, but I swear to God, when I was a little kid growing up in India, it always used to play on the TV for some reason. I was honestly obsessed with that story. I think to this day that has to be my favorite Sanjay Leela Bhansali movie just because of how simple it was. However, the themes were so powerful, and the themes are extremely similar in this book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's one of her very first stories that she's written, because I know now she's more known for her big stories like Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, etc. But this story, when I read it, I could just tell that she's going to become a big author. She just knew how to write complex characters and complex feelings very well. Basically, the story of this this book is that there's this woman who marries her high school sweetheart and they build a beautiful life together outside of their hometown. However, one day something really devastating happens because they're both travel journalists, and her husband actually disappears in a helicopter accident and they have no idea where he is. Years go by, they were never ever able to find him. So she's kind of convinced now that he's passed away and something terrible has happened. He's never coming back. She moves back to her hometown to kind of recover from the loss. That's where she meets her next love of her life, which is Sam. She's grown up with him in that hometown as well. They used to work at her parents' shop together, and now he lives there. He's a music teacher there, and she just remembers what a wonderful, wonderful person that he was. He's just a very sweet, kind person, and she falls in love with him, which helps her recover from her husband's death. However, it turns out her original husband, Jesse, never passed away. Emma, who's our main character, now has this big dilemma whether she should choose Jesse, her first husband, or Sam, who is her fiance now, and who is she going to choose? Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, that story is so iconic and something very similar happens in it. However, there's no such concept of death in that movie, but Nandini, I'm pretty sure that's what the protagonist's name was, falls in love with Salman Khan's character when he comes to like live at their house and learn music from her dad, I'm pretty sure, but her family doesn't approve and Salman Khan leaves. Basically, he gets kicked out of the house and she has to marry Ajay Devgan's character. However, she's not able to recover from losing the love of her life, so Ajay Devgan, the nice kind man that he is in the movie, helps her find Salman Khan overseas and they go on like an adventure together. So the love triangle nature exists in both stories, and both stories deal with very complex emotions, strong female characters who are going through a very emotional arc. And if you like that kind of stuff, then I recommend you read this book. And I also recommend, if you haven't seen that movie, to watch the movie as well, because you will eat both of them up. The next book that I have with me is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. You guys have probably heard about this book as well because it is definitely really famous. However, it's such a beautiful story. As you can see, I'm still in the middle of it, so I'm recommending this early before I even finish it because I just know I'm going to love it. I'm eating the story up. It's right up my alley. Basically, it's about our two main characters, Sam and Sadie, and it skips in timeline. I wouldn't even describe this so much as a love story as much as it is just two people and human emotions. It's very much a coming of age story as well. You know that these two characters have feelings of love for each other, but I have heard that they don't really get together in this book. Don't quote me on that because I haven't yet finished, but I'm loving the writing style in this book. I 10 out of 10 recommend it. The way that it describes simple human emotions in such a poetic format is something that I feel like every author is chasing to do, and our author here, Gabrielle Zevin, does a beautiful, marvelous job at it. It's also so amazing, especially for video game lovers, because it's kind of like a video game based love story, and if you're somebody who's into that kind of stuff, I feel like you would eat this book up as well. The movie that I'm going to compare this to today is OK Janu or OK Kanmani. Depends if you're watching like the North Indian or South Indian version of it. The story is basically the same, even though the actors are a little bit different. The two main characters are Adi and Tara, and Adi and Tara kind of meet in this unconventional way. Adi has a love for video games. He wants to be a video game designer, and Tara wants to be an architect. That design aspect in both love stories is extremely similar. If you like one, you're definitely gonna like the other. However, I will warn you that OK Kanmani / OK Janu is definitely way more love story-esque. However, it is very coming of age as well because it tracks their individual personalities really well and their individual dreams and ambitions, which I feel like this book really heavily focuses on as well. Also, a big shout out to the soundtrack in OK Kanmani / OK Janu because oh my god, the soundtrack by A.R. Rahman in that is literally what takes the story up to a whole other level, and I love that. While I was reading this book, I'm actually listening to a Spotify playlist as well that somebody has curated very, very well to fit the vibes of the book, and both of these stories can be so musically driven as well, just in the way both stories have been written so poetically. In this book, Sadie and Sam have kind of met in childhood, then they re-meet again in university, which is kind of the part that I'm up to, and I'm pretty sure it goes well into their 30s as well. However, there is a little bit of a skipping timeline at the beginning, I'm pretty sure, of OK Gunmani / OK Janu. However, it's mostly a linear story. If you believe in that kind of invisible string, I suppose, then both stories are done really well, and if you like that Bollywood movie, you will definitely like this book. Last but not the least, today we're going to be talking about Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Guys, this book is a whirlwind of an experience just because of all the drama that goes on. I'm comparing this to Kabir Singh / Arjun Reddy. Now, I know that can sound a little bit far-fetched, but hear me out. I think that if you liked this book, then you like reading about toxic romances. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I know the drama can be very, very juicy. If you liked a movie like Kabir Singh for that reason, I would recommend reading this book as well. But obviously Kabir Singh's drama was kind of next level and extremely violent as well. A lot of things that we can't condone, but a lot of behavior in this we cannot condone as well. But just remember that we're reading about some very messed up characters, so that is a trigger warning for both the movie and the book. However, the messed up things that happen at very different levels. I would say Kabir Singh / Arjun Reddy is way more violent, and this one is way more kind of just high school toxic, but still like a lot of bad things that happen. In Arjun Reddy / Kabir Singh, it's interchangeable because whether you watch the North Indian or South Indian version, but basically the story is that Kabir and Preeti meet in medical school. Kabir kind of takes a very deep liking to her, and she's this very shy, reserved woman who doesn't really know who to trust or what to do, so she kind of goes along with anything, and he kind of takes her under his wing, and his friend group kind of adopts her as well, but they kind of build this very toxic relationship together. And when her family doesn't approve of him, then things just go mayhem. They start to go crazy, it gets very violent, and they're not allowed to be together. So Kabir goes extremely crazy because he's a messed up character, you guys. He is literally a doctor who does surgeries while he's drunk. Shahid Kapoor does a very good job in this, very different to his role in Jab We Met, but I think very entertaining still. And this movie is kind of what introduced me to Kiara Advani as an actress as well. I really like her. I think she is gorgeous and she can portray different characters really well, in my opinion. But anyways, onto the book. The love story is actually about Magnolia and BJ, and this is a much broader series. It actually goes into the relationships in their friend group as well, but the first book is specifically about those two characters and just a lot of toxic relationship stuff. They're both in high school together, and BJ is like this very messed up character who kind of always hurts Magnolia in different ways. I won't spoil what, but just imagine Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl. That's literally them, and they both have very like messed up backgrounds as well and family lives. They're rich kids, but you know, rich kids have their own set of struggles as well, so it's very entertaining to read about. I definitely recommend this book if you haven't read it, and watch the movie if you haven't watched it, but remember to look up trigger warnings for both of them, especially if you don't agree with certain things, then you might not enjoy them. However, if you're like me and you don't mind a toxic romance here and there, then definitely recommend. Alright guys, and that brings us to the end of our video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys got some interesting recommendations and stuff that you're looking forward to, whether it's a new book that you're getting to read or a new movie that you're introduced to. Comment down below what your favorite Bollywood movie is and tell me why, because I'm a huge Bollywood fan. I would love to engage in that conversation. Also comment down below what your favorite romance book is or love story that you've read recently that you would recommend to me. If you guys take any of these recommendations, definitely let me know in the comments down below as well, and let's have a fun conversation around it. But remember to like this video and subscribe right now so that you can keep seeing more content like this, and I'm so excited to keep making fun videos and vlogs for you and to build a little family together. Other than that, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!